So you're making that fight then?
Probably, yeah.
No.
More than likely, yeah, something. I don't like to commit to anything the night of the fights, and you know what I mean. But yeah, it'd be pretty fucking stupid if I didn't make that fight.
So basically, like Henderson would have to like wipe out Belfort like in 2 seconds or something.
No, Henderson's fighting Shogun. I mean, Shogun and Henderson are fighting. I mean, if you look at the timing, we've had such a string of bad luck where guys get injured and things happen and all this stuff goes on that we know we can make this fight. And how many fights have you seen Anderson get injured and pull out of, and Chael get injured? I mean, it's pretty good idea that if we make this fight, it's going to happen.
What do you want to see next from Frankie Edgar? Who fights next?
I don't know. That's something we got to go back to. Honestly, I'd like to see him move to 145 and fight Aldo.
Give up the belt?
Yeah.
And what are the chances of that happening?
Who knows? I'm not going to make him do it. How do you make a guy who's been so dominant at that weight class? Who am I to say, yeah, you can't stay here? You beat everybody in this division. It's a tough argument to have with him. So,
does Melvin losing make it easier to make a decision?
No, not really, not really. And I agree with Lozon. He came dancing in there like he won, like he just won the fight instead of being serious. And it's one of the things I always say about this. Not taking anything away from Lozon. Lozon fought awesome. I mean, not only it'd be one thing if we said, hey, it went to the ground and Lozon submitted him and he rocked him twice and then submitted him. I just think that kid just doesn't have the focus that he needs to. He's got all the talent and the skills, but nope.
The last three lightweight guys, George Zanaropoulos, Jim Miller, and Melvin Gordon, all kind of lost in that, maybe that shot to get the title shot. If you can make it happen, does Gilbert Melendez just make the most sense because he's the number one guy? And really, in the UFC, there's not a clear-cut number one guy.
Well, it's not really, I don't want to get into all the Strikeforce bullshit tonight, so it's not really a clear-cut choice, We're still in the middle of that whole
When you spoke to us after the presser, the pre-fight presser, you said you got to speak to Lorenzo.
Yeah, we did. And now everything keeps getting pushed back a week. So we're waiting another week.
So no word on Showtime?
Right.
What's the holdup?
Not me.
You mentioned injuries.
This is what we do every day. This is the business that we're in. You know what I mean? It's not us holding it up. Sorry.
That's okay. You mentioned injuries, and then you talk about what's happening in Toronto at UFC 140. Rashad was sort of guaranteed that title shot, and the next thing you know, Bang Machida gets it. Can you talk about the process in that?
You got to be able to fight. I knew he couldn't fight. I knew he couldn't take that fight. I knew he was hurt, and he had the pins in his hand, and it was going to take time. So.
Will you bring him into the cage again after that fight?
Probably not. I think everybody gets it now.
Okay.
Yeah. I've had some bad luck with bringing people into the cage. Vanderlei and this guy and that guy. When it works out, it's good. When it doesn't, it doesn't. What are you going to do?
What do you want to see next from Kenny Florian? Really,
I don't know.
Realistically speaking,
That's up to Kenny, man. Listen, I really like Kenny and I have a lot of respect for him. And you get to a point where you were at 70, you were at 55, you moved to 45, you had two shots at 55. He's accomplished a lot in the sport. He really has. And the thing about Kenny is he's smart, he's talented, he's got other options, he's got things going on outside of fighting too. So, I don't know, it's just one of those things he needs to sit down and really figure out on his own.
How would you compare this one to the other performances?
I think he looked better in this one than he had in previous performances. At least this one. And again, I don't want to smash him with his last title shot and everything else. But he gets to a certain point where it's like, all right, I'm going to push against the cage. I'm just going to try to stay here. But he came out this fight, was shooting, was punching, was kicking. Jose Aldo's a beast and's been tearing through all these people and knocking them out and stopping them. I mean, look what he did to Uriah Faber. He didn't do it to Kenny Florian tonight. Kenny Florian went 5 rounds with him. But I just think that when it's your last title shot and you know it, you go for fucking broke, man. You know that there's so much time left on the clock. You know you got 5 more minutes to finish it. You go guns a-blazing and you try to win that title.
What about Aldo? I mean, you said, he was running some new guys. Now this is 2 decisions in a row. What do you think about him?
Well, tonight would be a little unfair, And like I said, again, I hate you know, you guys always ask me this shit, and I always tell you the truth, you know, and I'm going to give you my opinion on what I think about fights. And, you know, when you get into a thing with a guy who's a big, strong guy like Kenny, and he's pushing you against the cage, you know, you're in there trying to get out. It's, you know, it's one thing if you're out there going guns a-blazing and you're fighting. And that's how Uriah Faber fights. I mean, when Uriah Faber and Aldo fought, those two went to war, man. It was just, they went at it. You know, you didn't see what you saw tonight.
Santiago's lost 2 in a row now. Do you know what you want to do with him? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. I don't, you know, I don't make those decisions tonight, you know.
Sometimes you do.
Sometimes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
To that point, though, I know again it's not 100%, but is Chad Mendes the next guy for Jose Aldo?
Pretty sure, yeah. Yeah, we'll see though. We'll see. I mean, anything's possible. Maybe Frankie calls me and says he wants to move to 45. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
What do you think when people say that he's cleaned out the division? That Aldo's cleaned out 145?
No way. That's why you know, when they talk about him being top 3 pound for pound, it's like he's got a lot of work to do to be up in there. And I say the same thing with Jones too. Jones is looking good. I mean, Jones destroyed Shogun. He destroyed Rampage. He looks phenomenal, but he's got a lot of work to do in that weight division. Frankie Edgar has proven himself again and again.
Dana, with the deal with Fox, how does that change pay-per-views? Are you going to show as many, or?
Yeah, no, nothing's changing. The deal with Fox means we're going to reach more people, you know, and expose more people to the sport. That's it. No, we're still going to do the pay-per-views.
It's only been 3 days since we last asked you this question, but do you figure out what you do with those prelims for Fox?
No, I haven't even thought about it yet. It's the least of my worries. I could care less about that right now. All I care about is that main event and that fight on Fox. Could care less about the prelims.
Will they be available?
I'm sure we'll figure it out, but it's the last thing on my list.
Okay.
Dana, obviously, Kenny Florian was really emotional tonight. If he does choose to hang it up, is there a role for him in the UFC?
Absolutely. Kenny Florian's awesome. I mean, he commentated our last show. I think he's great on camera. I think he's great on the mic. I think he's, like I said, he's a talented guy with a lot of options, and he's always been a solid guy with us, and always been, you know, a team player. I love Kenny Florian. Don't take what I say, my you know, criticism. It's easy to sit here and talk about another guy's fight, you know, but I have nothing but respect for him, and yeah, Kenny Florian will be with us.
Is there a chance that he would commentate the Japan show hypothetically if it does happen?
There's a lot of things that could happen for Kenny Florian.
There's a lot of rumors in Brazil on which town will receive the next UFC there. Do you have any plans if it's Rio,
On where the
São
next
Paulo?
UFC will be?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on it now. And the rumors
Rio
are,
or São Paulo,
there's
yeah,
rumors
like-
because we are talking to a lot of different places.
But it will definitely be in the stadium. Can we guarantee that?
Yeah, I hope so. That's what we're looking to do, yeah. And we know we can do it. Depends on what fight we bring down there, where we want to go, and stuff like that. So we're still working on that.
And no kinds of dates. And so on.
Not yet.
What's your criteria for a stadium fight?
For a what?
For a stadium fight?
You know, it's a gut. You know, we kind of go with our gut, and we've been right. I mean, we knew Toronto was going to be big, so we went for the big stadium there. You know, we fucked Brazil up last time we went there. We didn't nail that one, but we won't make that mistake twice.
Well, like for instance, what would be the difference between, let's say, that fight in Sonnen Silva, which you said, at least for Super Bowl weekend, would not be a stadium fight?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not saying that we couldn't do it, but if that happens Super Bowl weekend, Super Bowl's in Vegas. Super Bowl in Vegas, for people that have never gone, it's awesome. Super Bowl weekend is awesome in Las
But if you
Vegas.
do another date, it could be there, theoretically.
Yeah, it could be. I think it could be. I think we could do a big venue for that one.
Do you think you'll make up your mind on the Sonnen Silva fight relatively soon, or do you think you'll wait to see?
I think I'll have, you know, I got to talk to Anderson and his shoulder. He has that bursitis problem right now, see how that goes, and figure out when both guys think they can be ready for it. But yeah, I'd like to get that lined up soon.
I know you don't get involved in condition stuff, but Chael's had some issues with California. I know Keith Kaiser and Chael seem to go back and forth. I mean, does that play any role of how you're going to make this fight or where you're going to
No,
make this
hell
fight?
no, dude. Let me tell you what. Chael Sonnen has paid his dues, has done his thing, has done whatever. Floyd Mayweather fights in Nevada. This guy's been arrested. He's got 50 lawyers defending him right now, and all that crazy stuff, and he's fighting in Nevada. Don't even get me going on that one.
So you've talked to Nevada then, and you know that they'll license him?
Do I know what?
So you've talked to Nevada, and you know that they'll license Chael again?
There's no reason why they shouldn't license. It shouldn't even cross my mind. The thought of whether Chael could get licensed in Nevada or California or anywhere else shouldn't be the least of my worries. The guy did everything that he was told to do. He's done. I mean, when guys like Floyd are getting sanctioned, licensed in Nevada, why should I have to worry about Chael?
Were you surprised with the way he ran through Stan?
Yeah, I was surprised. Dude, I'm a huge believer in ring rust, and he had 0 tonight. Literally 0. He looked damn good.
Did you talk to Stan afterwards?
Did what?
Did you talk to Stan afterwards?
I didn't talk to him. I didn't see him yet. Yeah.
What about you taking the UFC to Mexico someday?
What's that?
What about taking UFC to Mexico someday?
I'd love to. I'd love to go there next weekend. It's a tough nut to crack down there, man. We've had a couple of tough countries. Mexico's been very tough, and so is the UK.
Exactly.
For as long as we've been in the
now with Cain Velasquez being a Mexican American, there's a lot of people interested in the sport more than ever.
I agree. Go cut me a TV deal down there, and I'll be right down. All right.
Well.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before the fight started, I mean, what did you think would happen in the Edgar Maynard fight? Who did you think would win?
Before it started,
Yeah,
I honestly had no idea. Yeah, and what was crazy, I mean, I'm sure you guys were saying the same thing. That first round, I was like, holy shit. It looks like we popped in a tape and played the first fight. It looked exactly the same. It was so crazy that would happen again. And toward the end there, it was looking like Frankie wasn't going to make it out of that first round. It really didn't. I thought he was going to get stopped in that first round. When the bell rang, I was like, holy shit. And then the second round, I'm like, what is Gray doing? He knows he just had him hurt at the second round. He literally didn't do anything the first half of the second round. And Frankie recovered, I don't know if Gray gets in these situations where he goes so hard that first round that he gasses and has a hard time in the second round. I don't know, but that's what it looked like to me.
Given Frankie's success, why would you prefer him to move down to 145?
Because I think that, and look tonight, not just with Gray Maynard, but all these other guys that he fights, they're so much bigger than him, man. And I think that fighting out of your weight class isn't healthy. I don't think it's healthy long term. I don't think the guys who fight out of their weight class and fight a weight class above them and take damage can have longevity that other fighters can have. I think when you fight with guys that are your own size, you don't take the punishment that you take when you fight bigger guys. The weight classes are there for a reason.
With the UFC, Jake Shields come over, Nick's come over, Dan's come over, Gilbert's potentially coming over. The winner of the Cormier and Barnett.
Dude,
would you even work with?
I don't want to go. I don't even want to talk about Strikeforce anymore, man. I don't even want to talk about it.
Would you
call Coker.
Would you work with Barnett in the future?
Would I work with Barnett? Yeah. I mean, I saw Josh at the summit. We said hi, and hi, whatever, and
Well, he used to be on your "Will Never Fight for Me Again"
Yeah.
list.
Well,
Is he still on that list?
It's funny how things work out that we end up buying the company that he's in. I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question.
Could we go back to you're mentioning damage, guys that take damage in weight classes. You look at a guy like Leonard Garcia, an absolute warrior. Does it ever cross your mind? It's like, man, this guy's taking too much damage. You gotta have a little conversation with him, and
Yeah, that's his business, though. I mean, the business is. They're in the fight business, and yes, that guy does. There's guys who are just warriors like that guy is, But there's also, I believe, in too tough for your own good too. Where most guys would get hit with some of those shots and the fight would be over. He'd get rocked and get on top of him, and there's guys who go 3 nasty rounds like he did.
Dana, I wanted to ask you, earlier you said that you think that Frankie is the number 2 pound for pound. And that
No, I said he is.
No, that's what I said. But you said the only reason why he's number 2 is just because Anderson Silva hasn't lost, in the UFC. Do you really think that Frankie is as dominant? I mean, 'cause if you see Anderson Silva, he's so dominant that he takes everybody down. Like, I mean, he kind of like plays a little bit with them, but you can see that in any minute he could just finish a round. I mean, he's totally.
Well, that's my point. My point is Anderson Silva has broke every record there is in the UFC. I mean, he's done it all. He's incredible. He does what other people can't do. And first and foremost, gone undefeated in the UFC and almost the entire time being the champion.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I really do think, because I love the UFC, but I do really think that Anderson Silva dominates this game. I mean,
well,
not just that.
Well, I said that Frankie Edgar is the number 2 pound for pound, and Anderson Silva is number 1. I also believe that Anderson Silva is the greatest fighter ever in mixed martial arts history.
So what's the case for Edgar over, let's say, GSP?
I think that that Frankie Edgar has. First of all, GSP's got that horrible, sore thumb sticking out there. The Matt Serra loss, and I just think that Frankie is 145 pounder walking through 155 pound guys. So when you really look at what pound for pound means, Frankie Edgar is pound for pound. He's the man.
Does Rashad Evans have the worst luck in the sport?
No doubt about it. I told him that. I said, dude, you're the unluckiest guy I've ever met.
I mean, I gotta imagine he's gonna have to take another fight now. I mean, I can't imagine him sitting out again. I mean, have you had that conversation with him, or what?
Yeah, well, depending on how the timing and all the shit works out, he will fight again. Yeah, he wants to. He's like, I'm not gonna sit around and wait again. So he probably will.
How muddled does that title picture get? Because you got to wait on him, and then you got Henderson and Shogun, which could very easily be a number 1 contenders match. I mean, how muddled does it get between now and the fight with Lyoto Machida?
I don't know. We'll see how this whole thing goes down. We'll see what happens. Plus, Jon Jones has fought 4 times in 10 months. It's crazy.
Given that Machida's only coming off 1 win, what's the case for giving him a title shot?
Well, you know what? Because Rashad couldn't. Rashad couldn't fight, and he's going to fight. And you know what? I like what Jones said. Listen, I got to fight all these guys anyway. Machida's probably going to win again. This guy's going to win. I don't care. I'll fight him, and then we'll fight Rashad next, or we'll fight whoever else is in line. And plus, if Dan Henderson comes off this Shogun win, I actually think Dan Henderson wants to fight Anderson Silva more than he wants to fight for the 205. I'm sure he'll fight wherever. He doesn't give a shit. This guy would go to heavyweight and fight again. But it seems to me like the fight that means more to Dan Henderson is the Anderson Silva fight.
Dan, as far as in 2 weeks, GSP and Condit, what do you want to see out of George in that fight? He's had a couple of decision losses. It's been not decision losses, decision wins.
GSP?
Yeah, and it's been a knock against him recently. What do you want to see out of him? To get back into that number 2 spot, I guess.
Well, it's not about the number 2 pound for pound and all this stuff. George St. Pierre has been a dominant champion. He goes in there and, you got these guys who are supposed to be better at wrestling than him, and he out-wrestles them. He's been incredibly dominant. And, people always have their criticisms of George St. Pierre. He doesn't finish, he's this and that and everything else. He's the number 1. I'll tell you what, he's the number 1 pound for pound pay-per-view star in mixed martial arts. He's number 1 by a long shot. So that just tells you that people love him and people love to see him fight. He's a great champion in every sense of the word, man. He's a professional. He's always in shape. He does everything he's supposed to do. You couldn't meet a nicer guy. You couldn't ask for a better role model. You couldn't ask for a better representative of the sport. He's the whole package.
Dana, can we talk about 2000? Can we talk about a little head start for Johnny Bones Jones in 2011, the year that he's having? He's gone from prospect to contender to champion, and he's defeated 2 former champions. If he defeats Machida, what kind of a year has this guy had?
Yeah, I actually think this Machida fight is a big deal. Everybody talks about, you look at whatever in the Rashad fight. I mean, he knocked Rashad out, and he's got a dangerous style, and Machida's pretty hungry right now. Machida, stylistically, I love this fight. And if he can do to Machida, what he's done to all these other guys, very interesting. And I just think it makes the Rashad fight more exciting. People want to see that Rashad fight, but it can't happen right now. He's hurt.
So when you saw that, when you went into 129, the Randy Machida fight, Did you think that could be a title eliminator fight?
Say that again?
When you went to the Randy Couture Machida fight in 129, did you think that could be a title eliminator fight, possibly?
No. Did I think the winner of that was a contender for the title? No. But I think that Machida, you know, if we could have had some fights, Machida wanted to fight. He's been waiting to fight and wanting to fight. You know, Machida's a couple, you know, 1 or 2 wins away from being right back in the picture.
Danny, you got 3 weeks to go till 137. Have you had any conversations with Diaz? You said you're ready to deal with him.
I haven't talked. Yeah, well, I saw him when Nate won. He was at that fight. I saw him and everything else. Everything seems good. He seems like, you know, his head's in the right place and we're ready to go.
Is that going to make? I mean, I know you said it's going to be a difficult decision. If he beats BJ Penn, I mean, are you prepared for that again to maybe try one more time, whether it's Condit or GSP?
Yeah. Listen, who knows? I don't see that happening again. If it does, and I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's just, it is what it is. But
what would you do the second time around to make sure that doesn't happen?
I think I did already. I think I already did, hopefully.
I mean, would you have someone just like following around
No.
and stuff like that?
We don't babysit, man. He knows. We've talked, and I seriously would be shocked if he didn't show up at another press conference. And if he does, then it's just, I mean, I don't even know what to say. It is what it is, and I guess that would be the end of it.
All is well with the Countdown Crews going down there to tape with Diaz.
He's been awesome. Yeah, it's been great. Everything. I have had absolutely no problems with Nick Diaz whatsoever. None. It's all been good.
He came out a couple of times and said that, you know, if the media wants interviews, just go down to his gym, and, you know, some of us want to go down there, but at the same time, when he shows up at a press conference, which I'm sure he will, you think he's learned his lesson. What are you expecting from him?
I expect nothing. I expect him to be sitting right here in this chair. He doesn't have to answer one question if he doesn't want to. You know what I mean? I mean, what are we going to do? Talk, say something, say this, say that. No, just sit there. I don't have to say a word. I just want him to sit there and then get up and do this, you know. That's it.
So he can like flash the bird, do all that stuff, which he's done before.
Just show up, man. You know, he's probably going to flip everybody off and do all this other stuff. It's Nick Diaz. I don't want him to not be Nick Diaz. I just need him to show up to stuff like that. You know, he doesn't have to talk as much as Gray Maynard and say all, you know, get all talky like Maynard does, you know what I mean?
Do you have a filming date set yet for the next Ultimate Fighter? And if so, does that play into the potential date for Anderson?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Do you have a filming date, a start date set for the next Ultimate Fighter filming? And if so, will that play in at all with the next Anderson Chael fight?
March sometime, right?
Early March.
Yeah. It's in March, but I don't have the exact date.
I was just wondering if that might play into when the Anderson Chael 2 fight could possibly be.
No.
If you have that in mind.
No. I want that fight to happen ASAP.
Okay.
Yeah. They won't be coaching.
Do you know who would be it?
I don't. I haven't even thought of it. The only thing that I care about right now is November 12th. That's it. That's all I care about.
So this means you're not going to show from like 137?
Yeah, I'll be there. But these fights, you know, we got our thing down. We got our. I want to nail this Fox show.
How many times have you been back and forth to LA?
A lot. We were just talking about that. You know, thank God it's not New York.
How many times you think?
We go every week, right? We're in LA every week. Every week. Multiple days. On the phone a lot. If I'm not going, he's going. You know, he runs and he heads up all production. So if I'm not there, he's there, or we're there together.
You mentioned you're going to change the opening, get rid of the Gladiator guy. Will that happen at the Fox show?
That won't be there for the Fox show because it's a Fox Sports presentation. But the pay-per-view stuff, our deal with them starts in January. I'm putting all my time into this first Fox fight. We could never change all that stuff that quickly. It's impossible.
So the Gladiator guy will be around at least until
January. He'll be around until January, yeah.
So Chael Sonnen and Anderson potentially for Super Bowl weekend. What about for Fox 2?
For Fox 2? Dude, I'm dealing with Fox 1. So I don't even want to think about Fox 2. I haven't even thought about it. I got to get this one, you know. I don't want to be Melvin Gillard, you know what I mean?
Now, will the live show change at all, or is it just for TV?
What's that?
Will the live show change at all, or is it just for TV? Like,
no.
Will the Bob O'Reilly montage?
Yeah, all that stuff. The live show will be the same, yeah. The live show, I think our presentation for the live show is phenomenal. I think that when people first come, to the UFC, they're blown away when they leave after a live event. It's just the television side that we're going to switch some things up on.
Dana, the primetime show airs on October 30th, right? Why 2 weeks before the event, not a week before, to try to build as much? Usually the countdown shows air like 5 days before. Why is this one 2 weeks before?
You know the answer to that?
Yes, scheduling availability with Fox, and it was their best slot coming out of an NFL game that we could get.
And will it only air once?
Once on Big Fox, but then it'll replay on Fuel and their RSNs and all the other Fox properties.
Dana, before the event at the presser, you told us you were running like 34 shows next year. Do you think at this point you're running yourself into exhaustion, like kind of going from city to city to city to city? You're trying to get everything planned out. Is it,
physically?
Yeah,
I think so.
But is it tough trying to logistically put everything together with that kind of schedule?
No, it's not. It's just if you see, I'm at the press conference here. Then we're the press conference for a fight we're announcing ticket sales for, and then I'm at the press conference for the fight we're doing that week. Then I'm at the here, there. Yeah, it's it's been crazy. It's been crazy, but I'm serious. I wouldn't change a thing. This is when you want to achieve and you want to do what we're doing. This is how you do it, and this is what you have to do. And it's in no way, shape, or form am I like, you know what, I need to lay off. I need to take this. Fuck this. I love it. We have a plan. The next 2 years, definitely the next year. The next year is going to beat the living shit out of me. I'm serious, man. The next year is going to be a real rough one for me. But I'm down for this. This is what I want to do. And I have a plan. I know how I want to execute this next year. Because in my opinion, the next 2 years are the most important 2 years for this company and the sport.
Do you know how many of those 34 shows are going to be pay-per-view versus Fox or FX?
I do, but off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you right now.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we do. We've got them all laid out and planned, and we've switched a few things, 2 or 3 times, and we'll probably switch them again. And we're still working on this whole thing. But what we've got coming up in the next year is exciting stuff. When I was telling you guys, and by the way, the Sports Illustrated guy saw our last press conference and apologized to me. Thank you, wherever you are. I appreciate it.
You're a marksman?
Yeah, and this year, was a big year for us with all the stuff. But the next year is going to be the real big year for mixed martial arts. Next year is the one that's going to change everything and take it to the next level.
Any word on New York?
I don't care about New York. It'll get done when it gets done.
So what makes the next 2 years more important than, let's say, 2005?
Because we're going to a whole nother level. We got getting on television and doing what we did that first year was huge. As far as if you looked where we were and where we got to, this one's much bigger, much bigger. We're going to a whole nother level. I mean, we're talking mainstream. We're talking, I think that when we did that first season of The Ultimate Fighter, and that fight happened with Forrest and Stefan, I told you guys a million times, the most important fight we ever did. And the next 2 years are even more important than that. We're reaching people that would never even. I think we hit a lot of fight fans, with that first step. Now we're reaching people that would have never watched us in a million years. And it's the perfect time. I always talk about we did that first fight on Fox, and it was such a huge success way back in when was that, Craig? What? Oh, now he's gone. Yeah. Craig, what year was that we did the first Fox fight? On Best Damn.
2004. 2002.
2002, we did the Best Damn Sports Show, and it was such a huge success. And like fuck, we should have got that deal then. That should have happened, but it wasn't time. Didn't happen then because it wasn't time. We weren't ready for that. We're ready now. Now we're ready. Everything, all the ducks are in a row. We got this thing dialed in. We know what we're doing. We're the best at what we do. And now we're going to go out there and we're going to fucking nail this in the next 2 years. But this next year is real important.
So you picked up more blue chip sponsors because of this deal?
It's good. We're just going to keep picking up more and more.
You got excited with Harley Davidson, obviously Bud Light.
Dodge.
Did that
Ed Shave Gel.
Did Dodge come through the Fox deal?
No, it's come through all the things that we've done. There's more. There's ones that I don't even know about with the Fox deal. They sold very well.
Okay.
and we're going to go out. We're going to do this first fight, and it's just going to keep telling you guys. You guys wait. Remember this. Hold this tape and watch what happens at the end of next year and where we are and what we're talking about. And believe me, I will fucking die before I let this not happen. I don't give a shit how many cities or countries I got to fly to in the next 10 days or the next, year. I am focused and excited and ready to do this.
Kind of a two-part question, Dana. You have a fight coming up December 30th with Alistair Overeem and Brock Lesnar. Has there been any thought about doing maybe a primetime series around those two? And then with the primetime series, what's that going to be like with Fox? I mean, could it be a Fox special? Could it be an FX special? I mean, those seem to be really well received.
Well, these guys have, like I said, this deal doesn't start till January, and this Fox fight in November is just a bonus fight. They said, let's throw this fight, let's do this and that. We're not even in business with these guys yet. It doesn't start till January, and these guys are the best partners we've ever been with. And they're smart, and they're good at sports, and not just the big Fox, but at FX, John Landgraf, the guy who runs FX, this guy's a fucking genius. Seriously, I'm not kidding you. You ask anybody in the business, he's a genius. And, I really like this guy, and we're working on some cool stuff. And anything's possible. Anything's possible. We'll see what happens. And then we got George Greenberg, who's running Fuel now, who's always been a fan of mixed martial arts and always been a fan of the UFC. And we're talking about doing some big things too. The stuff that we're going to come up with and the stuff that we're going to do over the next year with these guys is going to be really great. So, yes, what you're saying, anything is possible. I just got to get this first one under my belt and get this one behind me and then start ripping through all that stuff.
And do you have an official attendance number for the expo?
What?
Do you have an official attendance number for the expo?
I don't. I didn't even get that. I didn't even think about it. Over 25,000? Yeah. Awesome. It was huge. It was very successful.
Weren't you throwing that number out before the expo even happened?
Yeah, we had it and it came in just as we expected.
Were you there today?
Some of it, yeah. I was there for your
announcement. It was insane.
It was good.
There today. Yeah. Cool. No, they're fun, man. It's it's cool to have these things where people travel. It's just the vibe and the environment over at those things are so fun and cool, and I'm glad we started doing those. That thing's only going to get bigger and better too as the fan base continues to grow.
Incidentally, that THQ game's not being released until January 30th. How come?
I don't know the answer to that. Anybody else? January 30th. Why are we releasing the game January 30th?
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. They know what they're doing. I'm not going to question them. I don't know.
Any worry of the Madden curse translating over to the THQ game with Anderson Silva being on the cover?
Oh, is that what happens? Yeah. I don't even know about that.
Look what happened to Brock Lesnar. I'm sure it could happen.
When he was on the cover made him lose?
The
got him hurt. Like on Madden, if you go on the cover, you get hurt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, GSP was on the cover for the Canadian version. He's been fine.
Good point. There you go.
Yeah, but Anderson's 37, so.
Yeah, true. It wouldn't be the cover then. And he is hurt already.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Anything? All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.